wonder, secrets unfold. True crime stories, let the intrigue be told. Grab a seat, get cozy, let's dive into the plot. With Mac J by my side, there's so much to be sought. Mods from the stars, they light up the night. Chillin' with Van, everything feels just right. Welcome to the mystery, the history, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. Sun. Spirit Time vibes with Lisa and Mark. Tia and Mel igniting the spark. According to Lean, curiosity flows. A curious rose in a garden of woes. Sweet misery whispers, tales that enthrall. While Matt, Meg, and Jody, we gather them all. Welcome to the mystery, the history, the thrill we embrace. Solving cases together we'll trace. With Tabby and Maggie, the journey's begun. With laughter and stories, we'll shine like the sun. Sun. So come along, join the fun tonight. In Aussie true crime, everything feels so right.
Hey, beautiful people. How are we all tonight?
Hello, everyone.
Get over. Just getting over to the right screen. I'm still on the other one. Happy New Year, my darling. How was your New Year?
Good. Bit hot, though, here, so...
Yeah, I've got my fan going, so if the noise gets too much tonight, just tell me. But as you all know, I'm used to Melbourne weather, what's a bit cooler than here, so I'm still trying to get used to all this heat again. But yeah, who do we have? We have beautiful Tammy, my beautiful Kaz. How are you, my darling? I hope Tammy's eyes are better. I was going to say something, but I'm not. But I hope your eyes are feeling better. Mac Day, Justice Jane, how are you, beautiful? Beautiful Rose Petal, how are you, my darling? Welcome in. Okay, so tonight we're starting a new segment because it's the start of the year and we want to do this for a case that most Aussies know. And if we don't, we should. It's about William. And we're going to do this. It's okay, they're a bit sore. Thinking of you. So we're going to do this every Wednesday. And what we're calling it is Wednesday for William. And every Wednesday we're going to put on something, whether it be a podcast that's been made or something we've put together or something we found that we want to bring out. And just every Wednesday present something, and hopefully, do you know what I mean? I think it was it June or July? July this year that we're getting the Inquest results.
I think it's June. Yeah.
So, as we all know, this has been at the coroner's. I do have to apologise for my son. He's playing his VR system, so he is yelling up there. He is okay. He's just yelling at his VR game. So where we are with the case, for people that do follow it is that it did go to the inquest. It has been an inquest for about 3 years now. They did stop it. They done some more searches, and they went back and started the inquest at the end of last year again. The judge has got to the point where she doesn't want to see any more evidence. She doesn't want to hear from any more people, and told us, as I said, we think it's June, but it's either June or July. She's going to give us her findings on the inquest. So that's where we are. We're still praying for William. Do you know what I mean? We all still hold hopes that one day we might find him. But until then, we're going to give every Wednesday or our Wednesday shows to William and to finding him. It is too long. It has been way too long. And like, as I was just saying to Mac J before we came on here, William's always had a special place in my heart because I actually spent a lot of time growing up in Kendall. I know the area. I do know the people. I know some of them aren't as pretty as what people want to be, but do you know what I mean? They're still not the kind of people that would kidnap a three-year-old little boy. So, for people who don't know, William Tyrrell went missing on September 12th, 2014. He was 3 years old when he went missing, and regardless to everything that we have, we still are no closer to finding him or finding out what happened to him. I do have a little video I want to show, and this is probably my most favorite one I've ever found, and it's William, and it's him laughing, and it's something that I wanted to show because it sort of brings you back to it not just being a picture or it not just being a name. It like brings it back to an actual person. So,
William, woohoo!
Here
Here I come. Where's that William guy? You're doing really well.
It is.
Here I come, William. I'm right next to you.
Oh.
Daddy, I did
Hello. Look at you.
Daddy, I did it.
Have you finished?
No, I did it.
Lick your fingers, lick your hand. Happy birthday, William. Go, William. Yay!
As I said, I just love that one because it really shows William for him, and it brings it from not just being a picture to seeing who he was. Okay, so we've got another one we're gonna play. So this is just pictures of William, and it's going to play while we go through the podcast. Aussie True Crime, why did they get rid of the detective looking after his case? Okay, so Gary Jubelin was removed from the case. I don't know, Kaz, if you remember the washing machine dude who became a suspect. Gary Jubelin went to his private home and was recording conversations there. Now, in Gary's view, he done it to protect himself and because he thought that he might say something that was worthy of the case. But when it Jimmy, he broke laws when he did that. He shouldn't have been able to, and well, he wasn't supposed to, and that's why the washing machine, like I think Bill Spenning was his name, if I remember correctly. He ended up suing the police force, and I think it was like 2.3 million or something he got for it. And because of that, Gary Jublin was stood down. He was no longer allowed to talk to anybody in the case. He wasn't allowed to talk to the inquest. They didn't let him speak at all. I was watching a documentary on it the other day, and he was basically even saying he wasn't even allowed to do a handover, like with the detectives that was taking on the case. So he couldn't even tell them where he was at. So they had to start from scratch again. And like this, I mean, this was going on about the charges against him and everything. And even he said if he had his time again, he would still do everything exactly how he did it. So, I mean, we can take it for what it is. It's, yeah. But yeah. So I'm going to play, we've got this new podcast that's came out, what we're going to play. This one has only came out within the last 2 months. Hello, beautiful little Miss Sharon. How are you? This one's only came out in the last 2 months. So it's a new take on what's been going on in the inquest. So I'm going to play it. Let me know if you can hear it properly.
I can't really hear the podcast. Tammy can't hear it either. Neither can Sharon.
You just, okay, it's not. I'll do it the other way then. Hang on. Okay, we'll try it this way.
Okay.
When I think of William, I think of a little boy who, I think of his dimples, you know, when he smiled.
What if I told you everything you thought you knew about the disappearance of William Tyrrell?
Does that sound better?
For me, it does. What about you, chat? Can you hear it?
Beautiful Megan, how are you? Happy New Year, my darling. Welcome in. Just let us know if you can hear it because I don't want to keep going. Okay.
Yep. Kez can hear it. Miss Sharon
Was
can
wrong.
hear it.
This
Awesome.
side smile that just is cheeky, but sweet and funny and mischievous, all kind of wrapped into one.
Not the big things. Those are true. A 3-year-old boy missing from a tiny country town on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. And 10 years later, we've still not found him.
He just shone this little smile, and a bit of swagger about him, but also a bit of a...
Megan, that's something I think a lot of us thought of too. Sadly, I don't know how to say it. We all thought that those charges would come to the answers of what happened to William. The only thing I'm hoping is that it at least had an impact on what happened on the inquest, and Jimmy, that's something we'll find out. Fingers crossed this year, because it's going to be a good year and we're going to get answers.
Yes.
But yeah. But I think everyone has their opinions, and just in my opinion,
a shy guy as well.
But what about everything else? Like how the police say they know what happened. They know why. They know how. They know where William is. Carers he was living with on the day he disappeared.
William has his own story. William is his own person. William's family, in many ways, has been exploited by other people with their own agendas of what they want to achieve.
As a foster child, there was a court order in place which meant William was under what the law called the parental responsibility of a state government minister.
And I think that that's a really sad, I think it's an indictment on us as a society that we allow that to happen, and that we hunger for that when we go clicking through social media and all kinds of things looking for that stuff.
But of course, the minister didn't do the day-to-day parenting. That responsibility was passed on. So the person who decided if William went on holiday, who was told if he got sick or injured, who was responsible for his health and his safety, whose job it was to know where William was. So his parent, that was this woman, Michelle White.
William deserves to have his own story. He shouldn't be exploited for any other purpose.
I'm Dan Box, and from news.com.au, this is Witness, William Tyrrell.
Police emergency, this is Simone.
Yeah, hi, my son is missing. He's 3.5.
Okay. Your address?
This is a 000 call where William's foster mother is reporting him missing to police.
All right, I'm just going to bring that up on my map. It won't be a moment.
This is the 12th of September 2014, a Friday, and it's at 10:56 a.m. and that time will become important.
How long has he been missing?
His foster mother says William went missing around 10:30 a.m. And later, his foster mother would get criticised for this call, for being too calm. People will say that a real mother wouldn't do that.
And we heard him roaring around the garden, and then I thought, oh, I haven't heard him, I better go check on him and
All right.
find him.
You can make your own mind up. When I listen to this, I wonder if I can hear a woman who's just holding it together, who's doing her best to tell the police what they need to know to help her child. Because right now, the stakes couldn't be higher. Thousands of children are reported missing every year in Australia, but most are found within hours or days or a week.
There wasn't anyone suspicious in the area? Any vehicles?
No.
Around a dozen children die by homicide each year, and most are killed by someone in their family. A few, and it's a very few, are abducted. But it does happen. There's one US study that shows that 3/4 of children who are abducted are murdered within the first 3 hours, and 9 out of 10 of them are dead within the first day.
No, this is my mum's house. Mum's property is near a state forest.
Okay.
We've walked up and down and we can't find him.
Okay. What's his name?
This call is being made from William Tyrrell's foster grandmother's house. So that's the house of his foster mother's mum. It's a big brick.
I know they're talking like through this, but I do have an actual copy of the 911 call that I can play for years later without him speaking over it. So if that's something that you just want to hear, I mean, don't stress. I do have a copy. But yeah. But the statistics are pretty scary too that they're talking about.
Yeah, I saw some of those.
House on a dead-end road called Benaroon Drive. The road is quiet and it's empty. There's a few houses, each of them on big blocks, and the road doesn't lead anywhere. So you wouldn't go there if you didn't have a reason to. Benaroon Drive is a short way outside a small town called Kendall, which is on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. The town's named after a poet, Henry Kendall, and he wrote about the eucalypt forest and the sound of the bellbirds in the morning. And that kind of suits the place. When you drive into Kendall, you go over the bridge, then you cross a railway line, and then you go up past the village green, and there's a war memorial, and it's surrounded by bush. There's just a handful of shops and a few wooden houses. It's the kind of place you'd move to if you wanted to know your neighbours, and you want to have them know your business too. The first time I went to Kendall, I flew in. I was a crime reporter for a newspaper, and this was shortly after he went missing. And I remember you arrive over dense forest, and looking down out the plane window, you could just see this thick, tangled bush, and in between it, pools of what looked like black water, and very few roads and hardly any paths. And looking down from the air, I remember thinking, if William is lost in that kind of country, we're never going to find him. It's been 10 years now since William disappeared, and he's still missing. So in this series, we're going to look at the case in a way that it hasn't been looked at before. We're not trying to find William, but what we are going to do is try to find out why it's taken police 10 years to find him, and they still haven't done it. We're going to look at what they've done right and what they've done wrong, and we're going to see how those decisions would come to damage the lives of so many people in ways that no one talks about. And I don't know what answers we're going to find, at least not yet. But I do know that we are going to find some answers.
Hello, Michelle White speaking.
We're going to start at the beginning.
It's me just talking.
That's all good. With the woman you heard from at the start of this episode.
It just feels so weird when you're just doing a sound check, doesn't it?
Just confirm that you are happy that this be recorded.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm happy that...
If you would introduce yourself and your role, what would you say?
So...
Yes, Tammy, it's the AAA, sorry, not 911. I've been watching too many... I've been on holidays and watching too many shows. Yeah. The AAA call.
My name's Michelle, and my role was the director and principal officer of the non-government out-of-home care organisation that had responsibility for the care of William and the authorisation of his foster carers.
What did you like about the job?
There was so much I loved about working at Young Hope. I founded the service. Children don't choose to come into care. Children love their families, irrespective of the circumstances that bring them into care. So being able to work with their families and work with their carers to create safe places and help them to see who they are and to help them to dream big dreams for their futures.
This is the first time Michelle's given an interview to a journalist, and she and I are sitting in her house in a small office surrounded by stacks of paper. There's a filing cabinet, and outside it there's children's toys just everywhere across the floor. You can hear in her voice that Michelle is serious. She's quite intent. And that's because her job is important. And to understand why it's important, you need to understand the system she was working in. Kids get taken away from their birth families because the government thinks it needs to protect them because their families can't. But that government system has always struggled for funding. There's never been enough money. And at the time William went missing, the system was also going through huge change. All those children that were in government care were being transferred to third-party providers, like the organisation called Young Hope, which 𝔕𝔕 founded.
And that was quite an intensive transfer period, and it meant a lot of new service providers came on board.
So you got this huge process of reform, of change. Was it working, or was problems being thrown up?
I'm not going to answer that. Yeah.
But there were problems. There were disagreements over money. There was problems with the paperwork. One example of that is that the single document confirming when William Tyrrell started foster care says that he started on the 5th of September 2013, so the year before he went missing. But the document is dated the 21st of either October or November 2014. It's hard to read with the handwriting. But either way, that's after he disappeared. Regardless of the date on the document, though, William's foster carers were already looking after him before 𝔕𝔕 took over responsibility for that placement.
So the way that William and his foster carers came to be with Young Hope is that there was a process of transition from the Department of Communities and Justice, and William's carers had identified that they would like to consider coming across to Young Hope. And so I met with them, and we didn't just accept that they were fit and proper based on somebody else's assessment. We did our own independent assessment. I think that if I am ultimately legally responsible for children under my care and ultimately signing off on decisions that impact the future lives of children, that I need to be informed by some knowledge of them and get to know them to some degree.
One of the decisions that 𝔕𝔕 still lives with is that she gave approval for William's foster carers to take him to Kendall, which is where he went missing. It was a family trip to visit his foster grandmother. They'd made it before, they'd been given approval before, but 𝔕𝔕 did allow it.
William was a child who was under the care of an organisation I had responsibility for. Whilst I am not responsible for William's disappearance, I had responsibility for him. And so I made a very strong commitment to myself and to him that I would not walk out on finding out what has happened to him.
𝔕𝔕's been interviewed by police more than once over the years. After William went missing, she flew up to Kendall to spend time with his foster family. That was part of her job.
I expected to arrive to news that William had been found. There were masses of people looking for William, looking for him everywhere. The longer William went missing, the more and more resources came to try and find him.
And this is, as I said, like, I grew up in Kendall, so I know the area. And do you know what I mean? I know that not every town has people that aren't so nice, but it is also a little country town. And do you know what I mean? People do come together in these towns. Do you mean you might have one or two bad people, but it's still a little country town that looks after each other. So it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, just since we're at the beginning, according to the biological mother of William, William was put into foster care because of DV and I'm not sure, but smoke in the grass, as it were, drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the documentary.
It was DURGS. So before William and his sister were taken into care, they got whiff that was going to happen, and his biological mum and father did take off with William and his sister. They were found a couple of months later, and that's when the two kids were taken. I know from just the history that I've done, I know the mother has, like the biological mother, has cleaned herself up now. And even at the time of William going missing, she was going through all of the right steps to get William back. But unbeknownst to her, and this is another thing what we're going to look into in these segments, is, do you mean the other companies that let William down? Like Docs did let him down when he was in care with the foster parents. I'll have to go and find it, but I do have documentation that these foster parents were approved in 20 minutes to foster a child, what is ridiculous in Australia. It should take weeks to get approved. But yeah, there's so much that we've got to look into, and I know the biological father is still messed up today because of what happened to William. It's really, really sad.
Yeah.
And I also, when his sister was taken out of the foster cares, like the foster parents' care 2 years ago, she was returned to the biological mother, if that sort of says something. So,
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Anyway.
Everything from police on motorbikes, horses, divers. They went in drains, they cleared ponds, they pumped things out, they went in dams, they went in waterways, they went through the houses in the block multiple times, under, round, about. I sat in the house with William's sister, and it was searched multiple times. On one occasion, officers from the Public Order and Riot Squad came through, and we actually had to get off the lounge, and they lifted up the cushions, and they even took photos off the wall and looked behind the photos. And, it was that kind of extent of search. I remember under the house was this big mound of dirt. I don't even know how else to describe it. I'm not even sure what it was, but I remember feeling really helpless a few times, and even I myself climbed in under there just to even look. Of course, he wasn't there.
Michelle also watched William's foster parents. This is what she was trained for. Her job was to protect the welfare of the children in her care, and if something happened to one of them, her job was to ask questions. Her mind had to go to those bad places. Michelle knows the statistics that show that if a child gets hurt or worse, mostly, almost always, it's those closest to them who are to blame. I ask her what she saw in William's foster parents.
Absolute distress. Visceral distress. I remember when I first arrived and the male foster carer collapsing into me and sobbing into my neck. The female foster carer collapsing at different points and having to lift her from the ground where she'd collapsed, heaving sobs of where is he, then getting information, we might have found him.
Almost from the moment William disappeared, there was confusion. There were sightings of him, there were rumours. People said they'd seen him all over the country.
And I remember one particular time being told, oh, we've might have found him, and the three of us separately being showed a photo of a little boy that they thought they'd found, and all of us thinking it might be him. But it constantly messes with your mind, and just the ups and downs of that journey, and just going, it was a completely surreal world.
And at the time, or looking back, did you see anything that made you doubt the foster parents or believe there might be something more than they were telling you about what happened?
Not at all. Not once.
And given since William went missing, there have been years of police investigation now. There's been a coronial inquest into his apparent death. Has anyone asked you about what you saw in those first few days when you were with his foster parents?
Nobody has asked me about what I observed in his foster parents those first few days, no.
Michelle did keep extensive records, though, questioning what she saw in the days, weeks, and months that followed. These have since been tendered in court, so are public records. Then, in recent years, the police came asking other questions.
Yes, I was interviewed about William's disappearance, and it became evident during that interview that happened in October of 2021 that the investigation appeared to be making inquiries of the female foster carer, and I was very surprised about that angle. And there were questions being asked that made no sense to me.
One possible reason that their questions didn't make any sense to Michelle is that she was on heavy painkillers at the time, following an operation.
They seemed to be focused on apparent different things.
This was a few years ago, and the current strike force, who are now working on the case, sent 2 detectives who turned up at Michelle's door without warning, saying they needed to do an interview. Michelle says she was in her pajamas. She says she told the detectives she was on this medication, but they went ahead with the interview.
I've never been asked about what I observed. I was in the home with William's foster parents. I spent all day, every day with them for, I think it was 9 days after William disappeared. I was on the property. I walked around the property. I took photos of the property.
Do you mean that there also has to make you ask questions like, this case is 10 years old. We've had how many, do you mean law enforcement or detectives that have looked at this case? And we know that, do you know what I mean, there's 2 or 3 task force that have, and no one has spoken to this lady who was there all around the time just after William was missing. No one spoke to her.
Oh, I wonder if it's because of the government, like, you know, maybe that's why she knows too much, like, about how things work.
I know, but you just think that, do you know what I mean, someone would, like, just for the evidence that she could have, the information she could have, the fact of how she knew William. It's just, yeah.
Messed up.
It's where you do, Kaz, you see red, because, do you mean it's not just a normal case? This is a 3-year-old little boy that they've let down in so many ways. So many.
Property. I did all of that, and they weren't making inquiries about those things.
When you were being interviewed by them, And I think you were talking to them for 5 hours or thereabouts. Did they give you a sense of what they were thinking William's foster mother may have done?
No, they didn't. Just that they implied that she had something to do with William's disappearance and that all would be forthcoming in a few days. Interestingly, at the time, Cleo was missing in Western Australia. And during that interview, they said to me, surely, you don't think that somebody else has come into the tent. You can't tell me that you wouldn't hear the zipper.
To understand this, you need to know about another missing child, 4-year-old Cleo Smith.
Good evening. First tonight, a young WA family is in the middle of a nightmare ordeal. Their little girl is missing after vanishing from their tent at a remote campsite in the state's north.
Searching the fence line for fingerprints. Forensics today, examining the family home of 4-year-old Cleo Smith.
Hi, my daughter's gone missing.
How old's your daughter, love?
She's 4.
Cleo was camping with her family in Western Australia on the 16th of October 2021, and she went missing from a tent in which her family was sleeping. So at the time the Western Australia police were investigating that disappearance, the New South Wales detectives were asking Michelle questions about William going missing.
They asked me what I thought had happened to Cleo, and I said that I didn't know. They said words to the effect of, surely you'd hear somebody undoing a zipper if your child was sleeping next to you. And I took it to mean that, yeah, surely if there's no other answers that are apparent, then it's the parent. And the implication being similar in the situation of William missing, when there's no other clear answer, it must be her.
And what did you think of that?
I became upset with them, and I said, are you telling me that after this many years, this is the best you've got? And the interviewing officer became angry with me and began to raise his voice and said he's been working on this for a year and he's focused on finding William, and he was implying to me that he was the only person who cared about finding William. I became quite upset and began to cry. And I said quite abruptly to him, don't you dare sit in my home and accuse me of not caring about William. And I pointed to a picture that I had sitting on a filing cabinet and said, you may have been working on this for a year, but I've lived with this since William's disappeared. And he backed off.
And that's that photograph you got on the filing cabinet there?
It is.
In Cleo's case, it turned out it wasn't her family who abducted her.
It is one of the most extraordinary stories of the year. 4-year-old Cleo Smith this morning has been found alive and well.
Police breaking into a locked home in Carnarvon where she was found in a room.
What's your name, sweetheart?
My name is Cleo.
Your name is Cleo.
Hello, Cleo.
I can confirm that we have a man from Carnarvon in custody who is currently being questioned by detectives.
Kidnapper, the doll-obsessed loner.
I covered Cleo when it happened, but I think I actually cried when they actually found Cleo. I remember that day. It was such a sad case, but such a good ending.
Terrence Kelly. Little Cleo left locked in a room, a loud radio used to conceal her cries.
He had his fantasies and he was trying to make them come to life. It just happened to be that it was our tent that he got into.
The point being that, yeah, in the vast majority of cases, it does turn out to be the parents, but not all. In Cleo's case, her family didn't hear the tent zipper. The New South Wales police are now focused on William's foster mother. They want to charge her. So only one of two things can be true. Either the police are right and she's a criminal, and she has misled the entire country for 10 years by seeming to be an innocent, grieving mother. Or the police are wrong, and that matters, because William is not the only child that's been taken from those foster parents.
I just want to say,
I'm at someone else's house, a foster home, and I want to go to your house instead of this one. Yes.
We'll talk about this more later in the series, but I'm legally prevented from telling you who that child is. So much of this case is surrounded in secrecy. Right from the beginning, there's been almost two versions of this story: what the police and the media knew about William's disappearance and what the public were allowed to be told. And the space between them was vast. Right at the beginning, the state government even said that the fact William was a foster child couldn't be made public. I remember getting the emails that said journalists could go to prison if we did print that. But even today, we can't name or identify William's foster carers. And so much else about this case is still secret. There's been inquest hearings behind closed doors. There's been statutory bars on what we can and can't report. There's been court orders suppressing what we can say. I remember going to one court registry and asking to see the publicly available documents relating to William's disappearance, and just being told, don't even bother filling in the form. That thing is suppressed. It's closed down. You'll never get it. All this secrecy is supposed to protect witnesses and the chance of getting a prosecution. But it also protects the police. We're just supposed to trust them.
Hello, true crimers.
And sadly, that's another reason why it is so hard to get any answers on this case, why it's hard to look into anything, because everything is, more than any other case I've seen in Australia, this case is locked down. Like, me and MacJ are going to every ends to try and find anything.
See, I just want to say, like, the podcast guy is being a bit like, I'm not pro police, but he's being a bit vague there. For them to bring those charges, they have to have something to show the court. So it wouldn't have come out of nowhere.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to find out when we get the results of the inquest, is what they had. They want to blame the parents in Cleo's case, which was sad, yeah. I think because especially a lot of people in America are used to the way a lot of their high-profile cases go. In Australia, especially when it's children, usually 9 times out of 10, do you know what I mean, they're found within a couple of hours. I think we've had a couple that have gone a couple of days, but they're usually found. I think Cleo's was the longest, because she was like, I think it was like 13 days or something they had her in, by memory, I think.
Yes, little Miss Sharon, lockdown is another word for gag orders.
Yes, there's so many Williams case that's not funny. And that, as he said, there is also so much, like, we've only been given so much information, and what we've been given is basically the icing on the cake. They still have the whole cake. All the information they have, we still can't get hold of. Hopefully, not even with the Freedom of Information Act, and even with my academic background, they rejected it. Because this was done about 2 months ago. They're still doing this one, but yeah, it started about 8 weeks ago. I think there's like 9 or 10 of them.
This is the case of William Tyrrell.
And at the same time, that secrecy creates speculation.
We've seen some pretty major updates in the disappearance of 3-year-old William Tyrrell.
Just moments after this photo was taken, this young boy...
William Tyrrell è un dolce bambino di soli 3 anni che scompare.
The woman at the inquest says she was babysitting 2 young boys. One of them said that he knew who killed William.
A senior detective has dropped a major bombshell in the mystery
of a spirit communication session using the APF.
Who is responsible for William Tyrrell's death?
Is it possible that William was spotted playing at his foster grandmother's place and that he was snatched?
The worst of this happens on the internet, but it also has real effects in real life.
I can't recall if the word pedophile was used, but there was certainly some suspicion, I think.
This is Ben Atwood. He was William's caseworker, meaning he worked with the birth and the foster families, overseeing William's foster placement, trying to get the best for William.
Look, I can understand why they'd ask, because it's not normal that you take photos of a child that's not yours and have them on your phone.
Ben gave evidence in court about William's disappearance, and he became a target for online abuse.
It is normal in the sense that that was a protocol that we had. We were issued with a work phone with a camera because part of the purpose of our visits was to document, ordinary moments, so that when William turned 18 and got his file, he would have not just case notes, which are legally necessary and tell the story of his care, but he would have just images of himself being a kid and having a normal life. That was the purpose for which I took images of William, whether it was pictures of him with his birth mum and dad at contact, or whether it was, stupid selfies where he's wearing superhero costumes. It was quite normal for me. And I think my reaction when I read those sort of suggestions was, you just don't understand the reasoning.
Ben had those photos on his phone for a good reason. It was his job. He cared about William.
Sorry, I was trying to find the link to put in. I put the link in the chat for you, Kaz, if you want to go and watch them as well. I just looked, I think there was 11, so there's quite a few there.
I just will check
the
court dates coming up. No, the coroner's basically said, hasn't set a date, but she said sometime this year, 2025. June, yeah. There was supposed to be one in December, but they called it off and just said no more stuff. But that's the last.
They did have 2 more months of the inquest before she shut it off at the end of last year. So December, November, probably October, November, and then it was halfway through December that she said she didn't want to hear anymore. Do they know? No. Yeah. Well, they suspect it. The police suspect it, but there's never been proof. But it is.
That's the balcony theory. That's the police theory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of how he was unalived.
So the police at the moment, their theory is that because the balcony, did I have one of the house? I don't know if I have. I have this one. So the theory, like the first one was that he was playing here and that he's run around the house roaring and he's just stopped roaring and they didn't see him again. As you can see, there is I'll try and get more photos next time. But as you can see here, there's a balcony. So from this, on the other side, like as you go around here, it's actually 2 levels. And what the police think have happened is that he's fallen off that second level, and when he's hit the ground, you know what I mean, it's not been a nice outcome. And because the foster mother was probably worried about losing the other child in her care or even getting more children, their theory is that she's got rid of the poor William. And yeah, they have done multiple searches, though. They've also brought in machinery that could see under the cement, and they've checked under the cement of the grandmother's house. They've taken the car away. They've gone through multiple areas around the area. They should have allowed the detectives past work. Yeah. Do you mean, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with what Gary Jubelin did with the recordings. I don't think that was right, but they still should have looked at it. He was on the case from... So Gary Jubelin joined William's case 5 months after William went missing. And that's got to say something for the work that he did. They did find some red material, but they couldn't confirm that it was part of the Spider-Man suit. They also found another piece of shirt that was like the foster mother's that she was wearing. I have a photo, and I'll probably put it into something to show it next week. But I have a photo of when they were at McDonald's the night before, when they were traveling down, and the shirt was material that was similar to that shirt she was wearing in that picture too. But they just went to the inquest and we didn't hear anything else. And that's the thing, even when there has been information, we hear very little.
People said the worst things about him online, things that just were not true. But what people said about him is just the tip of the iceberg of what's been said about others in this case.
Cocaine addict. FF sold William to pedo ring.
I'm interested in seeing him in handcuffs. Him and his wife and their mother.
Cold, cold people they are. How do they sleep at night?
Pedophile rapist dog.
William has been murdered by his narcissistic psychopath foster mother, and the corpse then dismembered and quartered for disposal by the besotted foster father.
Motley crew of pedophile mates.
He loves little boys.
Tell me to my face I'm wrong, you weak dog. William has been murdered.
Name him and shame him. Then send the family the bill for the bullet.
All of this stuff is false. But the courts, they can't stop people publishing it. Nor can they stop them sharing the names and addresses of William's birth and foster parents. The courts can't stop them sharing images of their houses from Google Earth or stop them making road trips to visit those houses. And when they get there, these people take photographs of the houses and then share those online. I've seen them turn up in court, taking photographs of themselves, flashing V signs with the police in the background, like they're some kind of celebrities in a homicide investigation. Nor can the courts stop the sharing of confidential documents about this case, including witness statements, phone records, police interview transcripts. All of these are now flying around online. I've been sent them. And at the same time as the foster parents are under all of this online surveillance, they're also under police surveillance. They've had listening devices in their car and in their home. They've had their phone calls intercepted, surveillance cameras posted outside their house. They've been targeted by undercover detectives. We can't tell you their names or show you their photographs, but they've been under almost total surveillance now for years. It's like the police, the media, the public, no one can stop talking about this case.
Good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news on one of Australia's most baffling cases, the disappearance of 3-year-old William Tyrrell almost a decade ago.
The final part of an inquest into the disappearance of New South Wales toddler William Tyrrell has begun.
Secret recordings from inside the home of William Tyrrell's foster parents have been played in court today.
Now, you probably haven't heard of 𝔱𝔦𝔪𝔢 Smith.
Then there's the information that for the first time tonight is being made public by police.
Well, the worst case of malicious prosecution in the state.
Detectives now believe there's enough evidence to charge the toddler's foster mother.
Detectives are recommending the woman be charged with interfering with a corpse and perverting the course of justice.
Foster mother has always denied involvement in the little boy's disappearance.
So what's your impression of the foster parents of William Tyrrell?
If the foster mother is guilty of this, she is the greatest actor in Australian criminal history.
So if anyone out there is thinking, I might have gotten away with this, what's your message?
They haven't. We'll continue with this investigation as long as it takes.
Okay, so basically you're saying we have no idea who killed William and we're no closer to finding that out.
The thing is, almost everyone talking about this case doesn't know much, if anything, about it. Ben Atwood is one of the few who actually knew William. Ben looked at the birth and the foster families after William disappeared. I've been through pages of Ben's documents, of records.
I don't think it's so much a cover-up. I think it's just a lot of mistakes that was made. Do you know what I mean? The biggest one was, as we said before, the fact that when Gary did do as much evidence and as much work on this case as he did, and they threw him off the case, that they didn't take into account any of the work that he did. So it was, do you know what I mean, the police starting again, and you're talking years and years after. So basically taking it on like a cold case and trying to start again. It's just, I think there was so many police mistakes done that, yeah.
Records he drew up when he was William's caseworker. He was looking for faults, for patterns, any sign that William might not be safe.
I want to be realistic about this as much as possible. There's so much coverage where the differences between the birth family and the foster family have really been magnified and polarized.
But the experience of being interviewed by police made Ben question if he was wrong to trust William's foster family.
And I'd be lying if I said that I never looked back on that and thought, did I miss anything? Did I make a mistake? Was I inattentive to something that actually was significant? And I just can't think of anything.
My eldest daughter is the same age as William Tyrrell.
Oh my God.
Is the same age William would be or would have been. And I can remember the first time I went to Kendall, standing outside the house where William went missing. And at the time, the police were looking at the theory that maybe he ran down the grass slope towards the road, where maybe there was someone in a waiting car who picked him up and drove him away. And I can remember being there, and I knew how a 3-year-old moved. I knew how my daughter could have run down that slope and been picked up and been completely helpless. And I can remember shivering and it bothering me in a way that no other story I'd ever worked on ever did. And it's 10 years now, and my youngest daughter is the same age William was at the time he disappeared. And
Miss Sharon, they did use sniffer dogs, but the dogs didn't pick up anything. But again, ask more questions than not.
Wasn't that like when the dogs came? Wasn't that quite a bit after the reported missing though?
No, they had dogs in there that night. I do remember reading an article about the foster parents going to bed at 9 o'clock, and they were just bringing the dogs in then. So the dogs were there the first night that he went missing. I also know multiple searches since then they've also had the dogs, but the dogs have never picked up anything. Well, nothing that we've heard about anything anyway. Yeah, no. And I think that's what would have rung alarm bells on the first night as well, was the fact that the dogs didn't pick up anything, because, do you know what I mean? He was apparently running around the house, and even that would have left a scent before he went missing. And they didn't even pick that up.
And I do know that if it was one of my daughters who'd gone missing, I'd have wanted there to be a transparent investigation. I would want the media to report the truth about what had happened. I would want people shouting my daughter's name in every newspaper and every TV show and every podcast. And that is what I would have wanted to have happened.
Sorry, can I start again? Yeah, I do take I took my responsibility for William's care seriously. Part of it was also not adding to the furnace of speculation that this was generating. I did not want to become entangled in that, because I wanted the investigation to be focused on what was important, which was finding William.
Like Michelle White, this is the first time Ben has spoken to a journalist. We met first in a cafe in Western Sydney, and Ben was nervous. He was uncertain. And then we met again in my office, and it was like Ben was determined, like he was reconciled to face this.
But in the last few years, I feel that William has almost disappeared from the public discourse about this case. I feel that he's really faded into the background, and other things have taken his place. And I'm not special or anything like that, but I knew him. I knew him well, and I think it's important that I wish he was alive and here, and that none of this was happening. But we can't have that now. And so I think in lieu of that, I wish that he was remembered and honored for who he was. And I think I can at least comment on what I knew. And we don't know.
As far as I know, the last actual footage of him was the night before at McDonald's. So when they travelled down from Sydney, they did stop at a McDonald's to get something to eat, and they've continued travelling to the foster grandmother's house. There is photos of William at the house on the morning. It was taken, well, there's a lot of discrepancies on the time of the photo. Some say it was taken at 7:30, but then it was altered at 9:35 or something. Again, their pictures I'll try and bring out for next week. But yeah, other than, do you know what I mean? We do have the photo of William that morning, but that's about it. But do you mean we know the pictures, the time's been altered, so what's to say that 7:30 might not have I don't know. They could have altered it before then. Before, just my thoughts.
What happened to him? We don't know if he's alive or not. We don't know if he was abducted. If so, who took him? We don't know anything. But what I feel.
So this is the actual photo that was taken on that they're saying was taken on the morning. But as you can see at the top, it's got created on the 12th of the 9th, 2014 at 7:37. Corrected time 12:09, 2014, 9:35. So that's what I'm saying about the discrepancies of the time, because there was authorizations done. Do you know what I mean? In the phone, when you can go into your phone and change that part, if that makes sense. I don't change dates, so I don't know how easy. I can try on my phone, but I don't even know if she had an iPhone. Do you know what I mean? We're going back 10 years ago. The iPhones wouldn't have been as good as they are now. Yeah. We're actually going to talk about Sebastian on Friday, aren't we, MacJ?
That's correct. Sebastian on Friday.
Because that's another thing we thought. Sebastian Rogers in this case, the age is different, but yeah, there's a lot of similarities. Okay, we've got a couple more minutes of this left. 5 minutes.
Looking at the coverage is that gradually William has really become a bit of a footnote and has been replaced by conjecture. And, you know, I'm not going to comment on police hypotheses, particularly matters that are in court. That's not my field. That's not my expertise. But I do have this sense that William has become an absence. He's been an absence since he was missing, but he's become an absence in his own investigation, in a sense.
Looking back at it now, are you disappointed?
I feel confused. I feel confused because I don't understand, like, what's the calculus that's driving the directions the investigation is taking? You know, as William's caseworker, my job was to be an advocate for him and for his care. And so in talking about the what we've talked about, it's a kind of grief to me that we don't feel any closer. And I feel that we may never really know. We may never really have an answer. We may never have a point where we can really grieve for William because we know what happened. I have to be careful how I say this. Based on everything that, you know, I know from when I was in William's life and in the lives of his families, I don't feel that we're any closer now to finding out what happened. I don't think that we've made significant steps in that direction.
Do you have shoes on? Again, you can't see. I have this photo from another version, and you can see William's shoes are actually sitting. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but right behind his sister, it was where William's shoes were sitting. The foster mother said that he did have them on when he went missing, but we don't know. All we know is that he was in his Spider-Man suit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Talking to Michelle and Ben, I've learned they're professionals with a professional responsibility to ask questions about what happened to William. And that is what they've done over the past 10 years, including asking questions of themselves. They don't care who's right or wrong. Their responsibility is not to the police or William's foster parents, but to William. And they've gone back searching their memories because not asking those questions would be to fail William. That's what we're going to do over the rest of this series, going back to the beginning, asking questions, revealing what was done right in the search for William and what was done wrong, and who got hurt as a result of those decisions.
People get hurt in these investigations. We all look back in hindsight on things that, you could do better, or decisions that you make that you could have done differently. Everyone does that, or, if you've got a conscience, you do that anyway.
We're going to reinvestigate the investigation.
On Bill Spedding, yes.
But look, the reality of this is I don't think you're going to enjoy this conversation.
Oh, yeah, tell me about it.
We're going to look back on what really happened.
It's the never-ending nightmare. We just relive it. We just don't have our boy. Don't hurt him.
So if I look you in the eye now and say, I know you're lying, and I'm not even going to tell you why or how I know you're lying, what would you say to me?
Well, I'd say you're badly mistaken. I am telling you the truth.
Here I come, William. I'm right next to you.
One thing I do know for certain is that things you didn't know will become known. Take one example. That time that William Tyrrell disappeared from Kendall on the 12th of September 2014, that wasn't even the first time that he went missing.
I hid them for 3 months. I arranged it all.
You're the mastermind.
Yeah, that's right. I should have just took him myself, and then no one would have been able to take him off me. That's what I should have done.
That's next time on Witness.
So, yeah. Why weren't these advocates with him when he went on his... I know. Oh, well. Okay, so... I just want to play this one. So this is the... I'm going to say it right this time. The triple O.
Sorry?
What's your address?
Benaroon Drive,
Yep.
Kendall.
Okay, Benaroon Drive in Kendall?
Yes.
All right, I'm just going to bring that up on my map. It won't be a moment.
Thank you.
How long has he been missing?
I think, we've been looking for him now for about 15 or 20 minutes, but
Okay.
I thought it could be 5, it could be longer, because he was just playing around here. We heard him, and then we heard nothing.
Okay. So I've got the nearest cross street being Ellendale Crescent, is that right?
So what is it?
Ellendale Crescent?
I don't know. This is my mum's house.
Okay.
Hang on. There's another lady out helping us look for him. I'll see if I can find her. But it's Benaroon, BENAROON.
Yeah, I can see where you are. I'm just wondering. Yeah, so it's Benaroon Drive in Kendall, and I've got your nearest cross street as being Ellendale Crescent.
It could be. I don't know.
Okay. So he's been missing since about 10:30.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, can you describe him to me? How tall? Obviously not very tall.
No, he'd be about 2.5 feet. He's wearing a Spider-Man outfit.
Yep. What colour hair has he got?
He's got dark sandy-coloured hair. It's short, and he's got really big browny green coloured eyes.
Okay. What's he got? Any shoes on? Do you know any other distinguishing features? He's got a freckle on the top of his head when you part the hair on the left-hand side. Yep.
You'll see a freckle on the top of his head.
Okay. All right. Do you know where he might have gone?
We actually live, well, Mum's property is near a state forest.
Okay.
And they're on huge blocks. We've walked up and down Benaroon Drive, and we can't find him.
Okay. What's his name?
William.
What's William's surname?
Tyrrell, Tyrrell.
Okay. Has he been known to sort of go anywhere?
No, this is the first time.
The first time he's
completely out of
wandered off?
character.
There wasn't anyone suspicious in the area? Any vehicles?
No.
Okay.
Well, not that I'm aware of. I was out there talking with Mum and my other daughter, so.
Okay.
And we heard him roaring around the garden, and then I thought, oh, I haven't heard him. I better go check on him and
All right.
find him.
We'll send police to see you at Benaroon Drive in Kendall. We'll also get the message broadcasted to all the cars and people look out for him as well.
Yes,
okay.
please. Thanks
all
very
right.
much. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that's the 000 call. I think that's all I had. So these were just pictures. I'll take it back to the front of William as well that I put together. I put the link. I've sent it to you, Tammy, but my computer's going slow, so I've also put it in the link in the chat for you. This was just saying, like, when he went missing, September 21st was when they stopped all of the first initial searches. September 12, 2016 was when the reward was put out for him. August 24th, 2017 was when they finally let us know that he was a foster child. No, she didn't. He may have walked into the forest. He may have seen a small animal and ran after it. My only thing is, again, and it's as beautiful Miss Sharon was saying, was the fact that they the dogs didn't pick up a scent. There was nothing. And that's where my questions always came, because if he was running around the property where I was there. I heard it pop. Hang on. Hello, beautiful Miss Tammy. I had to find you down there. So I think the rest is just another picture of William. And this is one thing me and Mac J were looking at earlier, was how many pictures of William have bruises on his face. I'm going to make a little thing of it because I think I found like 4 or 5 that I sent you in seconds.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it was about 5, yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can now.
Oh, okay, because my mic was screwing up. Sorry, messing up.
How are you, beautiful?
I'm
How are your
good.
eyes?
My right eye is still blurry because of a few other issues they discovered, and then my left one is recovering nicely, but it's watering like crazy, and it's still stinging. For those who don't know, I had a corneal transplant on the 18th of December, just so everyone knows, so that way people don't think, why are you asking how your eyes are? But it's going good.
I'm so glad.
There's one. Can I just point out a few things that I've noticed since you've been playing this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now keep in mind my vision's still not 100%. When that woman said what was he wearing, she decides to point out the mole on his head and not mention if he was wearing shoes, not mentioning his outfit. Because I had difficulty getting up here. They might have mentioned that later in the conversation when she was ringing up, but she didn't seem to. Even if a child is, I hate to bring this up, well, I won't bring up the name, but a particular detective, when she was interviewing someone, and she goes, if my kids are missing for like even a minute, I go into panic. She didn't seem panicked at all. you know,
Yeah.
and for me, that's very, very disturbing because, like, one time I was out with when I was around them, my nephew, he went missing for like a second and he wasn't where I, turned around, he wasn't there, and I freaked out big time. Turns out, he was just on the other side of the aisle, but on a different aisle, sorry, but still, she doesn't seem at all concerned. And when she says that this is out of the ordinary, it's like, well, you got to ask yourself, like I said, did they actually go to the grandmother's house? Like, I could take a screenshot now. Well, yeah, I could say, go into my phone, change the time and the date, then screenshot and send it to you. And then I could, or even on a digital camera, you can change the date on that, especially, sorry, that they were able to change the time. And did they ever question whoever took that photo and changed the time? Did they ever question that? And why weren't the advocates with William if they come across like they care, but like you're his advocate? You have two advocates, that woman and that guy, and yet neither one of you were with William. He was going further away than usual to go see his his adoptive foster grandmother, and yet neither one of you went with him, but yet you're at the house, as that woman said, for 9 days and you didn't pick up on anything weird. Well, okay, that to me is weird. Why would you be there for 9 days after he went missing, but you weren't there the day he went missing, when if you're the care of William, why weren't you there? Especially if you're now figuring out all these things that are strange, or you didn't pick up anything odd. Or I could fake collapse too. I can crocodile tear as well.
It's not that I expect them, like, do you mean I know there's a lot of kids in care and I don't expect them to go on trips with all of them. But the thing is, and this is something that I really want to get into, is all the things that happened before William went missing. There should have been alarm bells on even this trip happening. Do you mean the foster parents were approved to be parents in 20 minutes? What is absolutely ridiculous.
That actually made me sick when I heard you say that.
Yeah, even in Australia, that is ridiculous. It takes weeks, months to be approved. 20 minutes just because you're financially better off is silly.
Has there ever been... Sorry. Oh, sorry, Mac. I forgot to say hello to you. Hey, Mac.
Hey,
sorry. You're just really quiet. I thought you dropped off, so that's why I didn't say hello, but I just vaguely make out your picture. The thing is, though, with these set of foster parents that had William and his sister in care, had they fostered before?
No.
No.
So the 20 minutes is disgusting. You can't, like, for me personally, and I'm pretty sure everyone here will agree, you can't get to know someone in 20 minutes. You can get a first impression of someone in 20 minutes, but first impressions can be deceiving.
According to the one of the foster parents' friends, they were well known as quote unquote good people within the community, and apparently they were well off. So that's probably why they got approved so fast.
So the old saying, money talks and bush walks, that's just proof in itself. I'm trying really hard not to say the word I was thinking. But that, to me, that's, can I say the saying? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you, it's your channel. You can say it.
Go for it.
Money talks, BS walks.
There you go. Well, I was actually going to say the word. I'm 42. But no, yeah, there you go. That's better. Thank you. But that just shows me that there is no... it just goes to show how people with money can actually get away with pretty much anything. I'm not saying the foster parents had anything to do with William's disappearance. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying is that, okay, with the footage that was, did they check the foster parents' car? Did they check at the McDonald's to see that William actually was at McDonald's? Apart from them saying, we took him to Macca's.
The next day, the car that left, so the foster father went into town to make a phone call because apparently he didn't have reception at the foster at the grandmother's house. So he left to go and make a phone call.
But they had service to call 911.
Yeah, but after William went missing, the foster mother went driving in the foster grandmother's car. Now, there was a truck driver that saw her. So Kendall is just off the highway. And this is when the highway was the old one. It's not how it is now because, Jimmy, you don't even see the towns. But it was right on the highway. So there was a truck driver on the highway that said he's pulled over and the foster mother's pulled in front of him so close to the truck that when he's gone to pull out, he's actually had to reverse his truck back. Now, that is why he remembered it, because not many people will park their cars that close to the trucks. So the fact that he actually had to reverse back to go round this car is why he remembered it. He then went and picked his load up, and an hour later saw the same foster mother in the same car. Now, if William was missing, well, we all know William was missing, but why is she not out looking for William? Why is she driving around in the foster mother's, in the grandmother's car?
And if the thing that confuses me though is, okay, now sorry to cut you off, Mac,
no, you're
and
right.
to cut you off, Aussie. What I'm confused about now, I understand that this might be a weird thing to point out. If you can't get service, does that mean you can't call any number at all? Because sometimes, okay, so how was she able to call 000?
Exactly.
Well, I think I can only speak from living in a rural area. That sometimes you go through sections of the town, or or if you're further out from the town, the signal will just drop.
That's what I mean. Like
emergency.
Yeah,
call
but she rang
only.
from the house. Yeah, but she
rang from the house.
From the house, and he said he had to leave the house to make a phone call because there was no reception there.
And if she had the internet as well, back in
Kaz
about
said,
10.
no, you can call 000.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Kaz. Is it Kaz or Kez?
Kez.
K-E.
Yeah, K-E-Z.
Okay. Okay, Kez. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Sorry. I'm really not with it tonight. But no, I just don't understand how, like what you just said, she was out. Oh, what? William's got to go run all the way into the city or run into town. So that's why she was in the car. No, I personally think the foster dad left. He had William with him and he went to go make a quote unquote phone call, and then William was elsewhere, given to someone else.
See, there was another theory years ago too, that he could have got hit in the driveway with his bike, because he did have his push bike there. There's photos of the bikes at the grandmother's house. But again, there would have to be some kind of evidence if that, do you know what I mean? It was only a theory that was thrown out, and there would have to be some kind of evidence. There was never any evidence of that happening either. Wasn't it the daughter visiting her mother? It was the foster mother that rang 000. This is not passing the smell test. And see, this is another thing that I was saying to Mac J before as well. We do know that the sister was there on that day. Whatever happened, she mustn't have seen.
Oh, no. Sorry.
You're right.
No, sorry. I just freaked out because I thought I went into the wrong. My phone just went a bit spastic. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Continue. Sorry.
But yeah, so his sister, who is a year older than William, turned around and said that when she gets older, she wants to be a detective so that she can solve her brother's case. Now, do you know what I mean? Obviously, she's made her statements in her interviews and things like that, but that one line tells me that she didn't see what happened to William, because if she's seen it, she would have said something. The fact that she wants to become a detective to solve the case just tells me that she didn't actually see what happened to William. So whatever happened, Do you know what I mean? She was supposed to be on the veranda in that photo, but she didn't see it.
So that's what I'm confused about. So there was I'm just trying to get this in my head. So there was the foster mum and dad and the grandmother. So 3 adults in that house. And
The foster dad had gone to make a phone call in town. So he'd gone into Laurelton.
Is that before? No, what I'm saying is in general, like before William went missing or anything like that. I'm saying in the very beginning when they first got there were 3 grown adults in that house.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so no one was and there was 2 floors, 2 levels to that house, and there was all 3 parents were upstairs, and no one bothered to think, hang on a second, William's running around downstairs, down on the ground. Maybe one of us should go down and keep an eye on him, considering there's 3 of us here.
Well,
none of them thought to do that.
No. What they say happened is that they were out on the balcony. The kids were drawing and everything. Then they started playing hide and go seek or raw. And he's run around the house. The foster mother's gone inside to make a cup of tea, and she stopped hearing him roar. And then that's when he's just gone missing.
Okay.
So basically, the sister and the grandmother should have still been on the veranda, and the foster mother was in making a cup of tea.
They should, anytime children are outside, in my personal opinion, there should always be at least 1 adult outside or grown up.
Ozzy, I wanted to ask.
Okay, go back, Jay.
I just wanted to ask you a question. With the grandmother's car, did they possess it, like take it into possession before she passed away or after she passed away?
No, it was after. It was a couple of years ago when they went and redone the second search.
Okay.
So it would have been about 3 years ago.
Oh, are you sure these cops aren't from Colorado? Seriously. Sorry, but far out. No disrespect to anyone who knows any law enforcement that has a brain from Colorado, but
it's just so sad because, do you know what I mean? It's so many mistakes, and this beautiful little boy has lost. Do you mean even if he's still here, he's still lost his whole life, not being with his family, not being with the ones that love him. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the foster parents didn't love him, because, do you know what I mean, having a baby in your house growing up, you can't not love them.
Exactly.
But I don't understand either how you can leave them alone. Like, me and Temmie speak quite a bit offline, and Temmie's seen me with my grandchildren. I don't leave their side. They don't get 2 steps away from me without me knowing exactly what they're doing.
exactly. Like Ozzy is one dedicated grandma, that's for sure. She's even like that with her grown kids, for crying out. It's amazing.
They don't get 2 steps away either.
Where are you going? I'm just checking them out. Okay. It's like, oh. But no, the thing that's really sad of all of this, like you said, because William, there's no hint of him. Now, I'll ask both of you because of the fact that I can't look at maps to save my life.
Yeah.
What is the closest no, that's not the right word. Does this property that this house was situated on, was it close to anywhere that could be, say, a state line? If that made like a border thingy.
It's near Port Macquarie. Do you know where Port Macquarie is?
Yes.
Taree.
Yes.
It's in between Port Macquarie and Taree.
Okay, so how long would you roughly think it would take? Okay, so to drive to the border of, say, to go into Port Macquarie, how long would you say it would take to get there?
To Port Macquarie from Kendall?
Yep. Mm-hmm. You'll figure out my method, my madness.
Back the old way when this happened, because they've done like a lot of freeway upgrades now, so I don't know now. But I remember when I was a kid, it would take us about 15 minutes to get from Kendall to Port Macquarie.
Okay, isn't that interesting that she said he's been missing for about 15 minutes? think of that for a little bit. Just
be about 15
let
because
that,
you go straight across the highway and you're at Laurelton, and then you go up through Lake Cat-Eye, and then you got Port Macquarie.
Okay. How long after William went missing did the dad have to make that mysterious phone call that I bet you anything the cops never checked what phone call he had to make and then check with that person if Frank, I'm going to call him Frank because it rhymes with another thing I'm not saying on your channel.
He left the house about 9 o'clock and William was reported missing about 9:30.
How long after that did he return though?
I think about half an hour.
Well, there you go. I'm not saying this foster father had anything to do with it, but this is my method of my mind thoughts. He left at 9 o'clock. William went missing about 9:30. All right. So there you go. The photo's already bogus because they said that it was taken at 9:32. So it couldn't have been taken at 9:32. William went missing at 9:30. So there's that little bit of inconsistency. Also, the fact that if he went missing, he could have easily, I'm not saying again he had anything to do with it, but let's just say he did. He could have easily made that phone call, right? Yeah, I've got the kid. Yeah. Gone to the border, handed him over to someone in Port Macquarie. Just saying. My opinion only, that is.
Well, it's interesting to me. I was talking to Ozzy about this earlier. I showed her the what do they call it, legislation for the charges brought against the foster mother. It's tampering with a corpse and misleading the court with evidence. So from that, what you can dig is that she said something to them under oath that then the cops who found out is incorrect. As far as the tampering of the body goes, I cannot figure out how they would have possibly gotten info on that.
Well, I'm not saying that when the foster father, this is all in my own opinion. I'm not saying that the foster father handed William over as a unalive body. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he handed him over, and then you got to look at it this way. They came into they were rich anyway, as you said, sorry. But the thing is, though, is the fact that he could have easily go, come on, William, parked down the road, walked up a bit because the grandma and the foster mother were inside. None the wiser. William was playing at the back or the front of the house. They were at the back near the kitchen or whatever. William runs out, sees his foster dad, runs up, gets in the car with him. What do you know? 15 minutes to drive to, Port Macquarie, 15 minutes to get back. Guess what? That's half an hour. Pending if you don't get traffic. But think if it just, I know it sounds insensitive for me to say it like this, just enter my thought space as I'm thinking that. He hands William over to someone in Port Macquarie. I can guarantee you they did not investigate anything in Port Macquarie. Guarantee that. They probably checked on the border near Port Macquarie as you're going into it. But as far as going into Port Macquarie and checking anything, highly doubtful. Now, William I got that feeling that that's what happened. That's just my instinct and my opinion only. And if nobody likes it, I am sorry. But it's in my opinion only.
So it was 10:30. Sorry, not 9:30. William disappeared from his grandmother's house on Benaroo Drive in Kendall at 10:30. William was playing with.
I don't have any particular fixed opinion on this case at the moment, but I pretty much agree. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, she was just reading what something, so I was just like, let me finish.
William was playing with his sister in the front yard and was wearing a Spider-Man suit at the time. The house where William was last seen is directly across the road from the Kendall State Forest and 35 kilometres south of Port Macquarie. September 13th, 2014, police and 200 volunteers searched overnight for William. Motorcycles, helicopters were brought in for the search for William, who had asthma. September 14th, the search continued. Hundreds of people combed rugged terrain around the home, while police divers searched waterways and dams. Police said that they were looking into other scenarios. And like, there's one of the pictures.
Okay, so let me get this. Okay, sorry. I'm being very opinionated tonight. Sorry.
No, you're right.
So William's running around outside in summer when, leaves are still somewhat falling or whatever, and it's still sunny and all that kind of crap. They're allowing him to run around. Then the foster mother goes back inside to make herself a cup of tea because, it must be so stressful to watch your own foster kids. But anyway, and no one went out there to keep an eye on William, knowing he's asthmatic.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying this to sound like I'm being very opinionated. I'm so sorry if I'm being disrespectful.
No, you're right.
I don't understand. Like, when I was a kid, I had asthma, and as you know how my mother feels about me. The thing is, sorry?
I was just saying good night to Kez because she's going to bed.
Night, Kez. Sweet dreams, honey. How is it that they would leave a 3-year-old child running around downstairs, an asthmatic child who, I'm sorry, but when I was 3 and had my first asthma attack, I could hardly breathe to let my mother know I was having an asthma attack. So how is it that the foster mother leaves that kid running around and all that sort of going raw and unsupervised? Whoever leaves an asthmatic child, I think I said something else then. Who leaves an asthmatic child alone downstairs?
I want to put this one back up. So
he's so adorable.
They done an age progression one on him. So this was the first age progression one that was done on William. I think it was 10 they were aiming for. And then they done a second one.
Did the sound just drop?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Okay.
So, and this is... So, obviously, William, before he went missing, the first age progression one, and that is the second age progression of what they think he would look like now. It's a bit funny when you look at these pictures. But yeah. Because that's the thing, we're not looking for a 3-year-old little boy anymore.
No. So he'll be 13 now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Can you just imagine if I want to believe he's still alive because of the fact that, and I do believe that if there is no trace of him when the cadaver dogs or whatever, sniffer dogs or whatever you want to call them here in Australia, went there and they didn't pick up a single scent, that's why I'm thinking to myself, maybe William was never there. The fact, can you just imagine though, if you're that kid and you just happen to come across your channel and his name is actually now, say, Tyrrell Williams. That'd be interesting. And then, you know what I mean? Like, his name's been reversed, but yeah, he comes in, just has a look and goes, that's me. That'd be freaky. And we solved the case. Well, not we, you girls did. Well, whoever you made that little, yeah.
So this is the house again. This is the driveway of it. You can see at the side, like the balcony again.
But yeah.
Yep. I'm trying to make it out as best as I can.
There you go.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. Can you zoom in a little bit? How do we, okay, if William was there, how do we know that a car didn't drive up? Because they're saying that he was playing in the front of the house. Now, 9 out of 10 houses, the kitchen's towards the back of the house. It's not in the front of the house. You walk into most houses these days, the first thing you see when you walk in is the living room.
Well, the kitchen would have had to be at the back because she said she could. She said she could see them from the window, so the kitchen would have had
the thing with the car outside.
Hang on, Mac. Yeah, hang on a second. Ozzy was saying something. Sorry, Ozzy.
No, I said the kitchen would have been at the back. Hey. The kitchen would have been at the
Outside.
back because she said she could see it through the
I
window.
can't hear Ozzy.
Well, she's talking now. Hey, Mac, I'm not telling you what to do, hun. I'm not trying to sound mean. Pop out and pop back in and see what happens.
All right, I'll do that.
Can you hear me, Tommy?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Sorry.
Yeah, because she said like she could see them from the kitchen window, so the kitchen would have been at the back of the house,
Okay.
and the driveway was at the front. So
Yeah, and Mac was saying that the car out the front was something about that was debunked.
So if you look at this picture,
I can hear you now. Okay.
Hang on, let me go back. Stay in it. So William and his sister are playing on the porch at the side of the house while his mother and grandmother watch. William's mother goes inside briefly while the pair continue to play. So they were on this balcony here. William runs around the back of the house underneath the balcony several times. I can't see that in a bit. At 10:30, William's mother realizes after several minutes that he had not come back around, and neighbors begin a search of the surrounding area about 15 minutes later at 11 a.m. William's mother calls the police. Of course, we know.
Seriously, yeah.
Eddie, how are you?
Is that all things serious?
Yes.
I can't read chat. Hey!
Why go driving to look for him when there is so much bush? I know. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, I just think personally, like when it comes to this case, I just smell a rat, and I don't like the smell of rats.
See, even this one shows you how much bush was around, because that house, that's the house there in the circle.
Yeah, I can
So it
sort of
shows
make that up.
Yeah, it just shows you like the bushland around it.
See, the thing is, though, they say about how, he didn't come back round. Okay, well, that should have been like, didn't you say that he didn't come back around, and then 15 minutes later, there were the neighbours and everything like that looking? How would you, okay, if the phones weren't working at all, how would you have been able to alert your neighbours? Because if you go back to that screen, like that aerial shot, it doesn't look like you could just take like 20 steps and, hello, neighbour, can I have a cup of sugar? You know what I mean? It's not like that. So how would they have been able to let neighbours know that someone was up?
So on the road, there are houses on the road. It's just a no-through road. And what she's done is she's gone out and got the people that were in the street, like the houses in the street, and they're the ones that started looking, and everyone's come from there. Some of those people were witnesses at the inquest. I know one of those ladies actually wrote a book called Finding Spider-Man. I have a copy of that book, but it got banned in Australia. So, yeah, they didn't like what she had to say. Well, it's very interesting because she was one of the first people on the scene as well.
Was her house ever looked in?
Yes.
Okay. No, the only reason I asked that is because there was I'm sorry, I know this is Wednesday William night day.
Yeah, I go for it.
But there was a case years and years ago in America where there was the person who actually committed the crime was the first person on the scene. So that's why I'm just asking if that's why I asked that question. If people are like, why is she asking that?
She wasn't one of the first ones on there, but she was amongst the searchers that were there that night.
Okay.
So she was there that night. And yeah, she's just wrote, do you know what I mean? when you're in small towns like that, you hear things, people talk, and that's what she wrote about, everything that she was hearing, everything she's seen. I should read the book for everyone because it's a really interesting book.
Yeah, I would read it, but I can't at the moment. And I don't have a copy.
I might read it on the channel for people. Do it as another special kind of thing.
Now, sorry, I'm asking so many questions. Sorry if I'm annoying both of you with this. Because I can't type in chat very much, so that's why I'm up here, annoying the hell out of Aussie and Matt.
You're fine.
Now, what I'm curious about as well, did I hear correctly? Because my hearing, I don't know if I did. Did you say that the foster parents went to bed at 9 o'clock when the search dogs showed up?
They were putting the search dogs away when the foster parents asked them to be quiet so they could go to bed.
Oh my God.
Now, for me,
the night he went missing.
The night he went missing, and they're not up awake.
I'm sorry, but I don't know about. I would be there, and I know no dose doesn't work for everybody, but I would be there doing every single thing I possibly could, because you hear how the foster mum talks now. Well, you probably don't. I don't know, but the way she wants to come across, like, "Oh, we loved William." Well, why are you going to bed at 9 o'clock at night? Yeah, okay. It was a long drive. You poor, precious little baby. You're able to go get a cup of tea when your foster son went missing. Get out of bed, get off your butts, and help with the search.
2 weeks after William went missing, they were in Bali getting drunk, and there is pictures out there of that.
Oh my God.
Laughing,
I'm
joking,
sorry.
getting drunk.
I take back my personal opinion. I do believe they had something to do with what happened to William. I am so strong with that. It has to be my opinion, but nah.
There is
that
more
just shows there's more to them than people think. I think they need to be reinvestigated. They want to come across as innocent. Why the? I can't say what I really want to say right now because I don't want to. I respect your channel too much.
Well, there are charges against the foster mother, but they've.
Why just the mother?
They're in limbo, like until the coroner's finished.
There's no sweetie. There'll be no coroner. There would be no coroner because there's no body.
She's talking about the inquest.
Oh, coroner inquest. Okay, sorry. I was going to say, isn't the coroner who's on it? Okay, so the foster mother, did you say she has been arrested and she's still in jail, or she was arrested?
No, the foster mother and the foster father had charges against them. So when the DPP came down, when the DPP were given the evidence that they were going to charge the foster mother, there was recordings that had been put into the foster parents, the foster mother's house. And I believe in their cars as well. I'm not 100% sure. I know their phones were tapped and they had recordings and I'm assuming video, but it was mainly, I know, at least the audio parts of it, where both the foster mother and foster father had been hitting another child that's not William that was in their care. But we all know what child that is. They then removed the child. They were also charged for trying to intimidate a witness. What was them going at her after they removed her out of the care. And they've also been charged for tampering with a corpse, what they think is William.
Okay, I'm not aware of the other child you're referring to, but I'm just going to assume William's sister. No? Don't know. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that because, like I said, every time I try looking into this case, it just breaks my heart too much. So the police actually really, really, really need to open up their eyes. Just that little. They're not like me. They have to open their eyes wider. I can only open one of my eyes really wide, but I can't do it with the other one. The thing is, though, if they're willing to hurt her and then try and tampering with evidence, tampering with a possible corpse. Yeah, I just do want to say that word too loud because I'm not allowed to say it on YouTube. Get them back in freaking prison. Lie detector tests we all know are not very accurate. Well, here's an idea. Hook them up to a lie detector test, and every time they lie, you zap them with a little bit of electricity. Every time they lie.
The problem is with this case and why it's gone to inquest in the first place is because there's not sufficient evidence.
But you'd think they're hitting William's sister or physically hurting her. They're intimidating witnesses. They're disappearing. The father, I'm going to say father, disappears for however long he's gone into the city for because he can't get service on his phone. But yet there's 3 adults. So, neither one of them had a mobile phone that had service. Okay, I get that. Not. The thing is, though, is the fact that I'm pretty sure they had been there plenty of other times. Now, the thing the cops need to do, and I hope the cops hear this bit of advice, follow back when they were back at that house previous times with or without William and actually check his mobile phone service then. You won't now because it's 10 years. The point I'm making is
for as Ozzy mentioned earlier, when that cop got kicked off the case,
he should never have been kicked off.
Yeah, but the main point of that was he had a lot of info, and for whatever reason they didn't use that info. They didn't take it.
They didn't even let him do a handover with the new officers that were taking the case, and he went to every day of the inquest and asked repeatedly if he could give evidence, and they wouldn't let him because they think that he's favouring the foster parents.
Well, I think personally, if they actually took his information and compared it to what they currently have, I'm pretty sure they'd be a lot further along because every time they're going to do, I can guarantee you, the person that's in charge of it now is going to do something so minor that is going to screw this case up, and they're going to do the same thing to them. They're going to go, we're going to start all over again. No. Get all the information that you can. That is all of it. Doesn't matter who has it. Just get all of the information, look over it and think to yourselves, okay, the father, like how they went a bit because they thought that John Ramsey disappeared for half an hour. That's what made them blame him. I'm blaming him still too myself, in my opinion. But what I'm saying is, let me get this out. They don't look at this case as though the foster mother and the foster father assaulted another child that was in their care.
Yeah.
They don't see that as, okay, that should be considered a red flag, not a red light, a red flag.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how many other kids have been around them and actually been a victim of this, whether it's a niece, a nephew, a next door neighbor's child, whatever? How many, what was the reason for hurting William's sister? What reason possible could they, reason could an adult ever come up with, a justified reason? The only reason I would ever give an excuse, exactly, but the only reason I would ever give an adult a reason to hit a child is if it was hitting it on its back to stop it from choking, but then you do the Heimlich maneuver. But still, hitting a child on the back to stop it from choking, that's the only reason you could ever lay a hand on a child.
Well, Ozzy does have more info, but we're saving it for another live. In regards to the foster parents.
I know. I'm getting a bit worked up, I think. Sorry. I'm just very angry. I'm just very angry that they allowed them, they charged them, but they're still able to go and to know, to walk the streets, knowing that they know more than they're telling, knowing the fact that their foster child that they claim to love went to Bali within 2 weeks of their foster child going missing, and the police allowed them. They didn't check out the grandma's car until after the grandma had passed away. So by then, any kind of evidence that could have possibly been in that car would have been so degraded and contaminated for how many other times they'd been in that car.
And another thing was too, on the night that, when everyone got there to look, it was never, none of it was ever crimed off as a crime scene either. So, you've got like, what did they say, 200 searches that came in. They're just trampled all over the area where there could have been evidence as well, and that would have all been lost. Like that's what I mean. There is so many areas where William was let down, and
yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's sad that they've let him down, but then to think that it's a 3-year-old child that, do you know what I mean? I don't know.
It makes
And
me
then
very,
also
very
they have to
angry.
live their life. A 3-year-old hasn't had a chance to live their life.
No. And a 3-year-old, like every other child, has a right to live. And like I think I said this to you the other day, every child out there deserves a parent. That doesn't mean every parent out there deserves a child. And these two people don't. And I really hope that
they did use luminol. They've used it all through the gardens, all through the house.
That's why I believe William was carried away and put in a car. Because the only way that he could have honestly left that property without the sniffer dogs ever picking up a scent is that regardless if that car was proved not viable, I do believe that William was carried from the house to a car and then driven off somewhere. Because that is the only explanation that anyone can honestly give me as to why there was no scent of William found anywhere outside or anything like that by the sniffer dogs.
That's what's going to be interesting when the inquest comes down, so we can see if there was any evidence in the grandmother's car when they took it, because they did take it, they've tested it, but we don't know what the results was because it was all put away for the inquest.
Oh, I can guarantee they'll say they found nothing, because if that was something that would have been considered breaking news, considering it was breaking news when the foster mother was arrested.
Just for our overseas viewers, it's not like America. We don't get all of this information. It's just scattered everywhere. So
we are getting better in Australia. Like we are getting more and more little bits, but William's case alone is locked down to the nth degree. Like every bit of information on this case, it's really hard to get. I mean, I have some people that are friends in the courts in New South Wales, and that's how I get some of the information.
Yeah, and the New South Wales police decided to hire a few Colorado police that investigated the JonBenet case because they're just as dumb. I'm kidding. No, they didn't. Pardon?
Who's this cat?
I don't know. I don't have a cat. Oh,
it's a cute cat.
She's got the shits because she wants me to go to bed.
Oh shit! I just realised that you're actually on camera, Ozzy. Fuck.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say her picture's moving. Oh my god! I'm so sorry.
Because he wants me to go to bed. He's been sitting there. Like,
well, he'll start eating your fingers in a minute, like he did that time when you and I were talking at night. He started chewing on your nails. But no, I am so sorry. He's getting the shit out of me. Oh my god, I haven't laughed in a little while. But no, I do believe that there needs to be a very, I don't know. But like I said, when I hear about cases like this and I realise how stupid the cops are being, I just think, Colorado. You know,
well, I thought
and
it was going to be a repeat of it when we had Cleo's case, but do you know what I mean? They ended up finding him. So,
well, did they ever question where that guy was at the time of William's disappearance? Did they ever bother to ask him where his if he's got an alibi?
Yeah, he wasn't in New South Wales.
Well, I'm glad that Chloe was found though, but it's just amazing how when that broke, that everything that was on the news about William just fell at the feet and never really picked back up again. But at the end of the day, the William case really didn't get much traction ever. But yeah, we get traction from
that
America.
time. It was at that time that they were starting to look again into the house and doing all the searches.
Well, who's living in the house now?
There's an old gentleman. He's got nothing to do with the case or the family. He's just brought the house now and lives in it.
Oh, okay. So they sold the house.
I just know it's an old gentleman. I know that when they went back because they wanted to do the luminol in the gardens, and they put it was a big machine that they put over the cement thing in the garage.
Yeah.
They also put things in the water tank to see if anything had gone, like if anything was put into the water tank. And because he was so old and he doesn't like people being around the house, they actually removed him out of the house while they went in and done all their tests.
And how many years after William went missing did they decide that this would be a good time to do these tests?
Oh, these were done about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. So
about
7 years
7.
after he went missing. Yep, these are Colorado cops through and through. Far out. Let's wait 7 years to do all these tests because we're just dumbasses.
But you got to think too, once they took Gary Jubelin off the case, they had to start the whole case again from scratch because they didn't take any information. So Gary Jubelin was on the case from 5 months after William went missing. And 6 or 7 years in, when they took him off, is when they had to start the whole case again because they didn't take it. They didn't even let him do a handover. So
yeah, I know you've been saying that. And do you know how angry that makes me to know that potentially there are, as they said, there are thousands of children that go missing in Australia every year. So by not accepting the handover, they have potentially wasted so many resources that could have been used in potentially other cases. They've gone and retested things that after 7 years, I'm sorry, but you're not going to find squat, especially in the gardens, considering that rain, hail, fires, all that kind of crap that's happened in the meantime has potentially removed all the evidence they were potentially going to find. Maybe just accept the handover and don't be idiot.
Even if they didn't use all the information, they could have at least let him do the handover and then pick and, do you know what I mean?
Pick and choose what they would do. Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
they didn't have to use everything, but they should have at least gave him the chance to show what he'd been working on. I'll look for the article again. I will have it, and I'll bring it next week, and I'll read the article from Gary Jubelin because it shows his side of what happened. It is an interesting read.
Would you like my enjoyment up here again next Wednesday? Are you doing it at night or during the day?
Next Wednesday? No, you can join us next Wednesday.
Yay! Will it be at night?
Yeah. It's got to be at night time because I'm in such an open area. With my granddaughter, I can't do it of a daytime because they're too loud out here. At least at night time, they're in bed. They're not here at the moment because they're away on holidays. But yeah, they're in bed at this time. So
sweet. Is that all right with you, Mac?
Huh? Oh yeah, that's fine.
So, you sound so excited about that.
Oh no, sorry, I'm just tired at the moment.
So we're going to do this one again next Wednesday for William. But on Friday, we want to cover Sebastian because we think these cases have a lot of similarities and we want to start going through Sebastian's. But instead of just jumping in where everyone is, we're going to go right back to the beginning of Sebastian and the first lot of interviews and start going through them one by one.
Because I have no idea who this Sebastian dude is. So on Friday, I shall.
Is missing from Tennessee. He's an autistic. I think I've spoke to you a couple of times about him. He's the autistic boy from.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like it's like this case, but just a lot more information out there.
It's amazing, isn't it? How long ago? Hang on, sorry. How long ago did this case, the Sebastian case? What's his name? The guy, the one you're talking about on Friday. On Friday. How long ago did? Yeah, I just want to make sure I say the name right. How long ago did his case happen? And have they, just out of curiosity?
6 months now. He's been missing.
Okay.
So he's autistic. He went out with his mum for a massive day, and they went home. He put the rubbish out. She heard a noise in the room late at night, told him to go to bed, and woke up the next morning, and he's another one that just disappeared.
Okay, so this is where I'm not trying to play comparison here. So this case of Sebastian was 6 months ago, but would you say there's more information that you've been able to find about him than, say, for this case in William that happened in our home country, right? That's why I'm confused. Like, we hear more, I'm not sure if I could speak for Mac and Aussie when I say this, but I'm pretty sure I can. We hear more about American cases within the first, say, 2 months of the case happening than we do in the first 2 months of a case happening here in our own country. You know what I mean? Like, you think this case has been 10 years and we have pretty much F all information about it, really. But yet this boy Sebastian's been missing for 6 months, and we have more. Sounds like Aussie has more information about that, and that's only been 6 months. This has been 10 years for William.
Thank you, Miss Sharon.
Yeah.
I got 13 files dropped on my, sent to me this morning that on a case that I don't even know about in America, and it's body cams, it's photos, it's everything. Of a Sydney Powell case.
Yeah.
And it's just
Okay.
amazing the information you can get in America compared to Australia.
Do you have any? I know you're going to probably play them, but keep in mind while I'm asking this. Do you have any of the videos of the interviews with either foster parent that you could send me of William? Foster parents?
Yeah.
I've got the foster fathers. I think there is one of the foster mums. I'd have to go through my things, but I've got the foster fathers.
When you can, because I was just going to say, if you can you try and find them and send them to me before next Wednesday? Because I'd like to be able to, or whenever you're going to be able to talk about the interrogation videos, that is. Can you try and you want me up there for that? Please send them to me, even though I can't see properly. I'd like to be able to try and look at them on a closer screen than the screen. I can zoom in a bit, if that's okay.
Yep. Not a problem. So there,
Awesome. Thank you, my dear.
Sebastian went missing February 26th. So we're nearly at a year.
All right.
It's so sad.
It is. I think that anyone out there that harms a child should be not able to have children. Like, I don't have kids myself, but I know that if I ever had one, I'd never, ever, ever let any harm come to them.
Yeah. Well,
But there's people out there who don't have that thought.
Like, honestly, Tammy's seen me with my children, and my youngest is 23. And I still treat them all like my children. They're not allowed out of my sight unless I know exactly what they're doing, where they're going, when they're going to be home.
Even when Ozzy came to visit me in Adelaide, her daughter, like, we were in the middle of a bit of a D&M, deep and meaningful conversation, and then out of nowhere she goes, "Hold that thought," and her daughter was ringing her, and the fact that, even, I'm not saying it because I was upset about it, but just the fact that I could see how Ozzy would stop whatever she was doing and making sure that her daughter was okay. That to me showed me, like, why can't my mum be like that? And so it was like, it's amazing to see Ozzy and how she is with her grandkids, how she is with her kids. And I love your new microphone, by the way. I've zoomed in on the screen a bit so I can see your new mic you got for Christmas. And Ozzy, I want to say this publicly. Thank you for all the support you've given me since my surgery. You've been a great soundboard. You've been a great friend, and I love you to bits, honey. You're amazing. So thank you. I wanted to say that publicly. So you can, feel free to edit this out if you need to. But you're definitely one in a trillion, and I'd be lost without you in my life. You're an inspiration, and
glad to be there.
I love you to bits. Pardon?
I said I was glad to be there for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we might end it out there. But, yeah, I hope to see you all on Friday night.
Friday.
Yeah. I'll put the thing up in the morning. Mac J, I think I've sent you the thumbnail to have a look at. And then I'll put it up in the morning.
Okay.
But about the same time Friday night.
Yeah.
At 7:30, guys, not this time now. Take it back 2 hours.
And thank you, everyone, for coming. Rose Petal, Little Miss Sharon. I know Kez left us. But thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time. See you all.
Bye. Bye.
Aussie true crime on the rise. Investigate the scene, uncover the lies. From Melbourne to Sydney, all the way to Perth. No case too tough, we'll dig into the dirt. We'll crack the code, find the truth, bring justice to the table. No excuse, Australian legends in the game, bringing light to darkness, no shame. Just got a super child, let's celebrate. Raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. From cold cases to missing persons, we'll leave no stone unturned. Every virgin detectives in our hearts will never give up. For justice and truth, we'll always hear us. Ooh, thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. For all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Let's celebrate, raise a glass for all the cases we've solved in the past. With eyes wide open, we'll never rest. Aussie true crime, we're the best. Thank you so much.